Yes, I got good grades in half the time. Yes, I stayed big and strong. Yes, I had a life and maintained relationships. This might seem impossible, but yes, it is possible. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Wyatt. I'm a 19-year-old student heading into university this coming year. And in this video, I'll be sharing to you guys how I got A star, A, which is nearly the maximum grade in my A-levels in half the time. At the same time, I also maintained my relationships while also going to the gym 4 times a week and staying big and strong. Yes, I got good grades in half the time. Yes, I stayed big and strong. Yes, I had a life and maintained relationships. This might seem impossible, but yes, it is possible. And in this video, I'll be telling you guys exactly how I did this. So there are 5 sections or factors in this video, including a bonus, which are 1. Being smart, 2. Knowing how to study properly, 3. Time management, 4. Simply putting the work in, and 5. A bonus. So let's get straight into it. Let's not beat around the bush here. I'm smart. I'm gifted. I acknowledge that. I've been getting good grades my whole life while pretty much just messing around. And this is not meant to be as a brag, by the way, but just to let you know that even with the optimal study techniques and time management that I'll be mentioning, these results may not be possible for everyone. However, I do guarantee that if you implement my techniques, both with studying and time management, you will at least get better results. Plus, with you guys having the traditional 2 years for your A-levels or for any other exam, you guys will be cruising. For studying, I'll be making a separate, more in-depth video on this topic due to how important it is, but for now, I'll briefly talk about the 3-step framework I identified on how to study. Number 1. Learn. This step involves actually exposing yourself to, familiarizing yourself with, and understanding the ideas, facts, and concepts that you need to learn. This can be done through things like reading through your textbook, taking notes from that, or even just listening to your teacher in class. Number 2. Memorize. This step involves remembering the things you just exposed yourself to and understood from step 1 earlier and keeping them ingrained in your head. This second step of memorize is probably what most of you guys think of when you think of studying, and it's likely what many of you struggle with also. Understanding the concepts and topics isn't so much of an issue, but remembering things is. I'm sure you guys can relate to that. There are 2 main words here: active recall and spaced repetition. Active recall, in its most basic explanation, involves actively recalling facts instead of passively. An example of passive revision would be something like the classic method of reading over your notes or textbooks over and over again. This is a method many of you guys likely utilize. However, as you may have experienced, this is not so effective in helping you memorize things. On the other hand, using methods of active recall, which actively challenge your memory, is scientifically proven to be far more beneficial for your memory. Active revision methods are those like blurting, aka writing down everything you know on a topic on a blank piece of paper, fill in the blanks, explaining the topic to someone in as simple of a way as possible, aka the Feynman technique, and especially flashcards. Spaced repetition is exactly like it sounds, spacing out your revision, reviewing harder concepts more often and easier concepts less often. Because think about it, you wouldn't review something easy, say from when to when the Second World War took place, as often as something hard, such as the results of the 1919 elections in Germany, would you? With that said, there's one software which gets the best of both worlds of spaced repetition and active recall, and is an absolute game changer: Anki. Anki is a flashcard software which calculates and spaces out how often each flashcard should pop up based on how easy or difficult you found them in the past. Anki and flashcards are pretty much the only method I use for my revision for my A-levels, and I ended up doing pretty well in my opinion, so give it a go. There are many Anki tutorials out there, so that's a good place to start. Doing this second step of the 3-step framework correctly, Memorize, will basically feel like you've copied and pasted your textbook into your head. Yes, I know that sounds crazy, but trust me, you'll be amazed by how much the human brain can hold. I myself learned thousands of flashcards in a matter of months. I even amazed myself. 3. Apply. This step involves taking the knowledge, which ideally is now imprinted in your head from step 2, and do questions. Practice, practice, practice. This step is all about technique. For writing-based subjects like history or sociology, this step would look something like learning what a good answer should look like for each type of question. For instance, how an essay should be structured, what an introduction should look like, how much evidence or historical dates the examiner expects, or even just learning the correct timing during an exam. For subjects like maths or physics, just do practice questions until you get good at using the formulas or methods that you memorize from step 2. This third step of apply isn't so much about getting the facts or theories right or wrong, but just about knowing how you use these to answer the question. Focus on honing in on technique, as the memorization will come from step 2, not this step here. This was just a very brief overview of how I studied. I'll later be making a specific video on how to study, going much more in depth into each of the 3-step framework, so stay tuned. Knowing how to manage my time properly was crucial in allowing me to have enough time to study, while also maintaining somewhat of a social life and consistently going to the gym. What worked for me is creating a routine, dividing the day into time blocks, and setting non-negotiables. For example, a weekday would look something like this. I would wake up, go to school, have a gym block, a free block, a study block, a free block, then I would go to bed. Of course, having time to eat, shower, commute, and all of that stuff too. Weekends would be something like this. I would wake up, have a study block, a free block, study block, free block, study block, free block, then I would go to bed. My free blocks I spent doing things like just chilling out or hanging out with my friends or girlfriend. School obviously is a non-negotiable for most, as you can't just simply decide to skip school, right? Attendance and stuff. The non-negotiable blocks I chose to set for myself though were my gym and my study blocks, which were around 1.5 to 2 hours each. Having set non-negotiable blocks for the gym and studying, etc. ensures that you get the work you need to do in every day, while also leaving free time for other stuff. And do note that this free time is also blocked up so you don't go overboard. Having a routine like this is very important to me, as due to the lower level of unpredictability from day to day, I just don't have the wiggle room to decide not to study or not to go to the gym. My routine wasn't absolutely rigid though, so keep that in mind. Say if I woke up at 9 instead of 7, I would just push back everything by 2 hours. And if I still wanted to go to bed at the same time, I would just pull out time from somewhere, like from my gym blocks or even my study blocks. Also, if I had something special planned for that day, like a hangout with my friends or my girlfriend and needed extra time, I'll just pull out the time needed from another block. Having a level of flexibility like this allows you to actually stick to the plan long term, which is ultimately what matters most. Although I'll try to minimize this variance from day to day though. Also note that you should be realistic. Have breaks. More isn't always better. Do the most you can while being able to manage your stress. Being able to study 8 hours a day for the first 2 weeks and then just giving up isn't as good as doing 2 hours a day, but being able to do that consistently. Basically, make a schedule that is actually sustainable. Also, don't mix work and play. When it's time to rest, actually rest. I made this mistake and couldn't bring myself to mentally switch off from my work. This messes with your head. Do not do this. Also, please don't neglect your sleep. Sleeping less just to study a bit more is a trade-off that just isn't worth it. You'll be messed up the next day, much less effective, and you'll learn even less. And a pro tip here is to use the Pomodoro technique. This is basically studying in intervals and taking breaks in between. The most popular intervals are 25 minutes study, 5 minutes rest, which is what I personally use, and 50 minutes study, 10 minutes rest. And for those of you who have never heard of this Pomodoro technique before, these 5-minute breaks might sound like nothing to you. But trust me, I've done this. You'll be amazed by the difference that these tiny breaks make. They allow me to go on for hours without feeling burned out. So give it a go. And again, I'll later be making a full video on time management, so stay tuned. Even with all of the optimization and scheduling I just mentioned, it cannot be denied that this still won't be easy. You need to have discipline. You have to be willing to put the work in and will have to make sacrifices. You just can't have 100% of everything, right? For me, I chose to make the biggest sacrifices in my social life. Yes, I still had friends, I still had a girlfriend, but this aspect definitely suffered most due to me choosing to prioritize the gym and my studies. And yes, of course you can work less and settle for less if you don't need grades as high as I did. But for me, as an introvert, I was happiest to make sacrifices in this area. But no matter what, yes, it will feel tough at times. Yes, you will suffer at times. Yes, you will feel tired at times. It definitely isn't easy. I understand that. But you just have to be willing to put the work in. I don't really see it as a matter of motivation, but more as a matter of discipline. That being said though, if you do implement my techniques, both with studying and time management, the process will become much more bearable. perhaps even enjoyable. And a pro tip here is to think of the end goal and think of what you could achieve and how happy you would be if you achieved these goals. Or on the other hand, if you kind of hate yourself, you could think of how big of a failure you would be if you didn't achieve these goals. Have a strong support system. This could be your friends, your family, or even your partner. I was lucky enough to have a girlfriend and an amazing family to support me through my year. Yes, I had times of doubt. Yes, it got very tough for me at times, but having my support system there for me helped me a lot. Just having someone to talk to about your problems, even if they know absolutely nothing about your problems, is still a big boost. It just makes you feel much better getting things off your chest. Trust me on that. So, to sum it all up, how did I get great results in half the time while maintaining a social life and staying big and strong? By being smart, knowing how to study properly, knowing how to manage my time, having discipline and doing the work needed, and having a strong support system. So that was it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed and got some value from this. And if you did, like, comment, share, and subscribe, because there's much more to come, including some in-depth videos on how to study and how to manage your time. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.